Hello, everybody. We're always happy when you join us on Epic Dialogue. Remember to like when you see our videos, comment because we want to interact with you, and subscribe. We appreciate you joining us, and stay tuned for more episodes of Epic Dialogue.
Don't forget the pretty.
Here's a pretty one. Girls run the world. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Epic Dialogue. I'm glad you're here. And want to also welcome my brothers who always have a wonderful conversation with me and great input. And we all have a good time just chatting about culture and the things of the day. And I want to welcome both Marlon.
Yes, sir.
And Dale. What's up, man?
Son. Hanging in there, man.
Yeah, we just hanging in there. Well, I'm going to talk about something that I think we all have a perspective on.
Cereal.
Yeah, we all. Hey, I'm trying to kill the cereal and do like oatmeal and some fruit and some trying to
slim it
change
down.
that up.
Yeah.
But
I don't like cereal. I like.
but the title of today's episode, Feelings of Entitlement.
Oh.
And I also want to start off early with a definition.
All right.
The definition of feelings of entitlement: the belief that one inherently deserves special treatment, privileges, or rewards without earning them. This leads to several downsides for the individual and for relationships with others, it says here. And then it goes into some key negatives that we'll begin to talk about.
What was that, the Urban Dictionary? Or was that Webster? Oh, Wikipedia.
That's Webster's. That one's Webster.
Yeah.
That's a little more Webster-ish.
Yeah.
I just kind of wanted to first get your first impression of entitlement. And then I want to go into some specific topics that fall under that. And the first, I'll say this, is strained relationships. But before we go into that, what does entitlement look like to you, Marlon? And then I'll ask you next.
2025.
I swear I was about to say the same
whole
thing.
year
What
look
is-
like entitlement.
What does the feelings of entitlement that you see look like?
The feelings. Well, I know the feelings I get as a result of entitlement. A lot of rage. But
That's on the receiving end.
that's on the receiving end. But it's just this air of superiority. This when people feel like what they deserve supersedes what everybody else needs or wants. This selfishness. This intense selfishness. It's all about me and what I deserve, and I need yours, and I need his, and I need hers, and I need it is a virus.
Dale, same question.
2025. That's what I think of.
It's the whole year. The whole year so far.
Too many people is caught up in entitlement. Yeah, it's making the news now. They call it a buzzword.
It's a buzzword. So
always looking, but how do people get that way? That is what is the root cause of an entitlement mindset?
It's a lot of things, I think, when you say a root cause, but I think it's something that we've cultivated over time by how we've brought, number one, young people up.
Yeah.
I think that's a part of
you
it.
Give them too much.
Well, okay, somebody made this example, and then I'll get into this strained relationship. Somebody made this example. It didn't used to be like when you'll have a team playing a sport. I remember when even my son was playing sports, kind of everybody got a trophy.
Yeah, you get a participation trophy.
And even if you didn't win.
Even if you didn't win. And to me, that's
the
a
wrong
wrong
signal.
that's a wrong philosophy.
Yeah.
Meaning the person who played the best, the team who played the best, the team who won the most games, they deserve to get a trophy.
Yeah.
But not
that's
everybody.
not fair though.
Well, that's what they say.
But
we gotta have equality, man.
Isn't fairness rewarding the person who does the best job?
No.
Yes, absolutely.
Not everybody gotta get the same.
He's
thing.
joking. He's joking. No, you're not.
But let's go into this a little bit, and I think this is going to lead us into a lot of different things.
Okay.
One of the things that I pulled up when I was looking at information about feelings of entitlement is some of the things that people move in when they feel entitled, and some of the things that feelings of entitlement cause.
Okay.
And one of the things was number one, it said strained relationships. And I think that's really interesting because it said
It is interesting.
it said this. It said conflict and resentment come from people feeling entitled. At least that's what the other person.
I get it.
The other person is feeling conflict and resentment. So when you talked about anger,
Yes.
I think that's
what it is, the reaction towards
that's really their core feeling.
Yeah.
It says people who feel entitled often expect more than others are willing to give or they're able to give, leading to frequent arguments and tension.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
So that's why a lot of relationships don't last.
So that's why if somebody feels entitled in a relationship and the other person isn't feeling that way, but they're getting the brunt of that other person's entitlement, it's going to be a place where they constantly are having friction and they constantly are having arguments. And the person who is on the receiving end of the entitlement is going to feel resentment.
Yeah.
Why do you think people move that way in a relationship and can't see it? I think that's my question. How can you move in entitlement in a relationship and not be able to put a mirror on yourself?
Culture.
You say culture?
Yeah. Because, I mean, people look at what are they going to benefit from the situation? You know, it's an individual prize. That's the way they're not looking at in a relationship. It's us. How I feel.
Webster's.
What am I getting?
Webster's, Urban Dictionary, whatever dictionary you put up here.
Yeah.
Selfishness.
Yeah.
Selfishness is what it is.
Yeah.
It's you thinking that you deserve more than what everybody else deserves.
And why would you think that? Why do you think people think that I'm more deserving than everybody else in the room?
I think
I'm special.
Conditioning.
That's it. It is a conditioning. Where did it come from? Where did this conditioning come from? Maybe it came from the parents coddling their kids.
Right.
Or maybe it came from people, like, you know how some kids, they may win pageants or different things.
Pretty.
And they get a level of attention.
Yeah.
Right. They get a level of attention, and that attention then gives them an inflated sense of ego. And so now the world is my oyster, and all of you guys are in my world.
Crisis.
So
Pretty privileged. I think that kind of does lead to a self-exaltation, right?
yes. Yeah.
So you see yourself as being, because I'm
You're no longer human.
pretty, because I'm the mannequin, I'm the expectation of others, expectation and desire of others.
Yeah.
I have a right to things that other people don't have a right to.
Yes.
And I think, there's some other things that are in my notes that I find so interesting that are tied to that, like unmet expectations. Like if you have that pretty privilege, every time you want something and somebody doesn't meet your expectations, you're going to
have a tantrum.
Yeah, you're going to have a tantrum. You're going to squash them. You're going to you're not meeting my expectations. So I don't care if I destroy you emotionally because you're not meeting my expectations.
I gotta ask you, because you made me wonder, does this entitlement, and we're specifically staying on pretty privilege,
Okay.
but couldn't self-entitlement also come from success in a sense? Because, and give me a quote, because sometimes you might have the combination of pretty privilege and success. Jennifer Lopez, Mariah Carey.
Well, I don't know the inside and out of those people, but you would think from the outside looking in that that's definitely part of the problem. I feel like I am the desire of others. I am the picture of their desire. I'm the thing they want, and because I'm that thing,
Worship.
well, they believe they should be worshipped.
Yes.
But if you're in your right mind, you shouldn't be worshiping another human being. If you're in your right mind,
Most
Right.
do.
but
Celebrity worship.
if you desire something that strongly, and they know they know that you're the person desiring them, and they're the picture of your desire, then yes, they're going to treat you like crap if you worship them, because they feel like they have the right to.
So who do they respect?
They only respect somebody who challenges their throne.
Who has equal measure or above?
Equal measure or above.
Wow.
I hate to say that, but that's the only way it's going to happen. That's why you have
Kim Kardashian, Kanye.
Yeah.
Who has the bigger self-inflated ego? Trick question.
That one is hard, because I think they both have an ego.
Yes.
I think they both have certain things that make them feel worshipped,
Right.
make them feel godlike. I mean, doesn't Kanye West call himself a genius?
Yes, he does.
You don't think he is?
He's a musical genius.
He may be a musical genius, but just because you're a musical genius
That
doesn't make you a
an
genius.
everything
Yes.
genius.
Come on now.
Yes,
Come on now.
it doesn't make you everything genius.
Well, if you don't believe in yourself, who will?
Damn, I actually don't disagree with that statement, but putting it in the context of Kanye West is a mistake, because he just you can't align him like that, because he does think of himself as a all-encompassing genius,
Yeah.
and to me, that's a dangerous place to live.
Yeah.
Because
But it's good for the wallet.
it may be good for the wallet, because people in culture may end up worshiping you.
No, they do. That's what they
But-
want to pay money for, the fantasy.
But think about it. Okay, what about his ex-wife? Kardashian. What do you say? Do people worship her?
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's the same difference in a sense, but for different reasons. They worship her because of her looks.
No,
She
that's
really-
her genius too.
Well, they worship her because of
Well,
her
she
looks.
plays on her sexuality.
Yeah, she plays on her
no,
sex.
man.
Yeah. Of course.
Oh man, that TV show.
But what?
What they in season
What?
15?
Let me ask you, what successful woman in the media industry and in
It's not
the media
attractive.
space is not? Most of them are attractive. So if they're not
In the
attractive,
media space,
yeah,
especially.
that's what I'm
Pretty
saying.
privileged.
Yeah.
Most of them are attractive. So that's one of the attributes that they use and monetize. So can you get really mad at them for doing something that culture tells them to do?
Yes. But,
Yeah, you can't. I mean, but
I know what you mean.
But is it?
It's a part. It's almost like a.
It's like a
the
rule.
result of right.
It's a rule in
Yeah,
culture.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, we may have some reasons from a spiritual standpoint to stand against that in certain ways, because we think, certain ways of sexualizing yourself are completely inappropriate, right?
Yeah, it's a byproduct. Like that's what it is. If you have this level of attractiveness, and then you add, and you can always layer the self-entitlement, right? Because you can be attractive, then you can be intelligent, right? Then you could be outgoing. All these things just tend to just rise the numbers up, and then the entitlement meter shoots through the roof. You know how the cartoons go? I know you have the thermometer, and then it just blows up.
It just blows up,
Yeah.
and you see all the spurting out the top of the
Yeah.
thermometer. It's like,
Just,
and that's how entitlement can bring on that kind of outcome
yeah.
with everybody around them. Because some people, they operate in such a way that they feel like almost like they're a god.
Yeah. That is a fact.
I mean,
Because they can't go anywhere without somebody opening a door for them. You have to roll out a special carpet. They have to get people, and then they treat everybody with a level of disrespect.
well, think about.
You peons.
I remember. What's the guy on Shark Tank? The one they call Mr. Wonderful.
O'Leary.
No,
Kevin O'Leary.
Kevin O'Leary.
It's Kevin O'Leary.
Yeah.
He was talking. He used to work for Steve Jobs,
Yes.
and he was talking about Steve Jobs and how Steve Jobs treated people.
Yes.
And I mean, he treated people like crap.
Very negative. Yeah.
But it's because I'm the genius.
Yeah.
You follow what I say. I'm the genius. That was Steve Jobs' attitude.
Mm.
Was I'm the genius, and everybody must line up and follow me. Did I tell you what to do?
Yes.
Yes. Well, why aren't you doing it?
And then he has but then again, like we said, he has the success.
He has the success.
And his results always supersedes the overall negative outcome. So it's like, did he make mistakes? He made mistakes, but it was inconsequential to the level of success he had. But he's a genius, right?
Right.
Could he cure cancer?
No.
Oh.
We're not making fun. I'm not making fun of his dad.
I know.
But
But
here's the thing.
Yeah.
When you walk around with the belief that you're godlike, something will eventually come along and show you that you aren't God.
Yeah. That's what I meant.
People
don't get offended.
And that's the truth of the matter.
Yeah.
And it's not anything about a particular person, but we have to be able to, even with all our success, we have to still
Remain humble.
Walk in humility is what I was going to say. And that's exactly where I was leading to, is that we still have to find a way to remain humble, because if we don't find a way to remain humble, the more success we have, the more godlike we begin to feel, because everybody's coming to our beck and call, doing whatever we tell them to do. The more, if you're worth $200 billion and you start walking around telling people what to do and they work for you, they're going to do it.
Yes. Why?
Because for them and for some people in that position, you can become like a god to those people,
Well,
and they get paid,
and their livelihood is on the line.
On the line.
Elon Musk and the way he addresses his employees, Jeff Bezos, issues of Amazon, and the way that's what I'm saying. They inflated sense of self.
And the
but
more
they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Well,
at times,
it seems like most successful people, they act that way.
Well, once again, the roots.
Yeah.
Our roots.
What about what do you think about this? One of the things that came up in my research was that often people who feel entitled have low resilience, meaning they have difficulty coping with setbacks. How do you feel about that?
I'm torn on that. I think it does apply to your average everyday person. I think it does. But I would say successful people have a built resilience for pressure. Some of them strive under pressure conditions and they succeed. But disappointment is a little slightly different. Disappointment is like you want to see somebody fly off a rail.
Well, when you get to a certain level of power and you don't have to deal with setbacks, so to speak, or your definition of what a setback is changes.
Yeah.
Couldn't it be because you have more power and control that you can stay in an elevated place, in a higher place when it comes to dealing with setbacks than somebody, the average person in society who feels entitled? Their setbacks are going to feel different to them than a setback to somebody 100%. Who's extremely wealthy.
Yeah. The person that is the everyday person, that is a delusional person. They don't have the means to be out here flaunting and being as if they're above everybody else. But the person that has success, that's the label, that's the moniker, because they have the success. They have the intelligence, quote unquote, or they have the gift, and people praise them already.
Yeah.
their self-entitlement is almost, in a societal way, justified.
Mm.
People will justify and look past their self-entitlement. Oh, that's such and such.
But I think one of the things that also mentioned was poor personal growth. And I think you have a lot of people who feel entitled that have a lot of money that still act childish.
Yeah. But then the money justifies the childishness, right? It's the truth. Because people worship the money and the lifestyle that money brings them, that person that has
more
money,
than the character of the person.
right? Remember, it used to be
What is
like,
carry?
but see, let me tell me relate to this, right? Remember back in the day we was coming up,
Yeah.
and you could have the wealthiest person in the room, and then two actual geniuses in the room that can give you the theory of relativity. You know, you can have, you know, X's and O's.
Right.
You know, just this person is above the fray intellectually over everybody else. And people would be like, well, that's genius. But in today's society, you can be as dumb as rocks. But if you have 20 billions of net worth, you're the smartest person in the room. And no matter what you say and no matter how you act, everybody will mimic your behavior.
Money is the qualifier.
Yes. The
Money
number
is,
one
is,
qualifier.
is the number one qualifier to give you, number one, respect, access, and control. Respect. Well, what was the old song? Money, power, respect.
Yes. The key to life.
So when we talk about what it gives you something in culture that's a pass to everything else. If you have enough money, you got a pass to do anything within culture
that's
that
a
you want.
dangerous society.
It is.
I mean, so when we talk about how people get away with things, they get away with things most of the time because they have money and a lot of access.
Or, like you say, pretty privilege. It's always something that society deems as valuable, right? So if you don't have the money, but you have the appearance, you can also have a level of self-entitlement with that appearance.
Yeah.
Pretty privilege. What's some other thoughts about what pretty privilege should give a woman access to?
It should give her the access to nothing, but because we all should be judged by our character.
Yeah.
But I think statistics do say people who look better get higher pay on jobs.
Absolutely, yes.
Get more access to things as far as promotion and things that cause them to move up the scale of society.
Yes.
So, okay, why is, and I know the answer to this, but why is taking advantage of that wrong?
Why is taking advantage of the person
of the person
that is pretty?
Yes.
Why is it wrong for them to take advantage?
Yes.
Why is it wrong?
Yeah.
Morally and ethically wrong. I don't know.
I'll say this. To me, it's a lot about how you use it.
Right. Yeah. If you're a humble person, that is attractive. If the internal beauty looks better, exceeds the outside, the physical beauty, and I'm saying you're physically beautiful, but then internally
you're even more beautiful.
That person you do anything for, because it's like, wow, this humility, this kindness, and it's like, this is the perfect person.
But is that rare in this
Very
time?
rare. Yes. About lottery rare. What we saying? Yeah, lottery rare.
So if that's rare, what's the description of what pretty privilege does to exercise its power in culture? What do you see that in the form of? Not just names. We said some names.
Yeah.
What does that look like? What do the actions of people with pretty privilege do? Those inappropriate actions.
OnlyFans, Instagram models.
Oh, yeah.
Such and such. Porn.
Damn.
And they go on further, and they go further. That's what it does. Because the attention is just the responses.
Well, you
And-
think,
and-
you
but
think
listen.
OnlyFans is wrong?
It depends on what you own OnlyFans for. Some people use OnlyFans
Oh,
for
share
teaching.
recipes and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's that population, right?
Yeah.
But at the majority of what you see is specifically with pretty privilege, is the sexuality. Let me play on the sexuality. Let me benefit financially from it. If I could benefit financially from it, then I can be viewed and I can develop this entitlement behind it. So for me, it's negative when a person uses their privilege in a way to just simply gain something from somebody else. I mean, if you're just born a certain, nobody can help the way you're born. If you're beautiful, you're beautiful. But you have to have the personality.
The character.
Yeah,
it's the character that comes behind the beauty. If there's no character, that means character is, where does your integrity lie? Where does your moral compass lie? You know, what kind of person are you when nobody's watching? Are you still honest?
Well, somebody's always watching.
Well, that's true, but
it's a lot of cameras.
It's a lot of people. It's a lot of people that don't think anyone's watching. And then the other thing I'll say, from a spiritual standpoint, period, God is watching.
Yeah.
I mean, it says everything lays naked before Him. So if everything lays naked before God, that's what the Scripture says.
But what does a self-entitled person say about God?
A self-entitled person has a problem with God in a lot of ways, because when you talk about what Satan did, Satan said, I was going to exalt myself above the throne.
You read my mind. You read my mind.
I mean, so
the person that said that was self-entitled from the very beginning.
Very beginning.
It's a characteristic of who?
Satan.
Uh-oh.
Because he wanted to put himself in the same place that God was.
Okay.
Meaning, I feel like I have a right to be where God is, even though I'm a created being. He's the one that actually created me.
Yes.
But I still feel like I should be exalted above Him.
Does that not sound like?
Oh, it's absolutely, it's an entitled person. Because entitlement is often connected to pride.
Yes.
Excessive
Especially,
pride.
Yes.
Which vanity, that's the definition.
Vanity.
Excessive pride. So when excessive pride is present, most of the time, entitlement is also present too.
They next door neighbors.
Huh? Yeah, they blood first cousins.
Can I ask you which sense of self-entitlement do you hate most? Children, pretty privilege, success. Which one do you despise the most?
Oh, that's a good question.
I know it's pretty close, right? 1A, 1B.
I think the one that is the most dangerous is the one that's out in culture, meaning I feel like I have a right to more than somebody else just because of who I am. I think that kills what I call the real ability for people to earn their place in society. Because if I feel like I'm entitled to something just because of who I am, how I look, who I'm related to, whatever, if you feel like you're entitled to more, and I'm talking about more meaning material things, that becomes destructive inside of society.
Man, you pulled out an age-old self-entitlement. That nepotism goes a long way. That goes through earlier kingdoms even. Yeah. People that are attached to royalty and having this different level of elites versus...
It's like somebody, their family, they have a building at Harvard named after them.
Uh-oh.
And they have a kid that's wanting to go to Harvard that's a C student, and he gets into Harvard because his family's name is on the building.
Yeah.
I mean, is that a good thing? I don't know. I feel like we talk about everybody earning their way. Well, if everybody earned their way, let's just look at everybody's test score. Let's just look at everybody's test score. Let's look at everybody did in school, and let's decide on that alone whether or not you should go to Harvard.
Yeah.
And most people would say, well, that's leaving out a lot of people, because who's making the decision? Who's picking, and why are they picking? Because there's so many things involved. There's so many variables that it's hard to pin down what entitlement and privilege sometimes looks like because you can't see all of the decision process.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think there's certain things in culture that, people are criticizing, and they're criticizing them because they feel like, hey, why do you get picked because of, whatever reason, because of what you look like? Why do you get picked?
Yeah.
And so it's all of these different things, but there are so many variables that impact them. That's why it's so hard to nail down who gets what and why. But I think when we start talking about the reality is we'll wipe out history, we'll wipe out everything to create chaos, because chaos is really what allows people in power to do whatever they want to do. Because when you have unified groups of people are going to demand certain things as workers. They're going to demand certain things as rights and privileges inside a society. So if I create chaos and create division, then if I'm a person up here in society, I'm in the highest position, I'm in the top 0.1%, then I can control a society that's divided. And so all of these things I think are really created not for the purpose that people think. I think a lot of this cultural entitlement is created to keep society divided.
Yeah, but they want to be divided.
You think society chooses to be divided?
They like it.
I think as long as the
most
separation,
people hate each other.
As long as one person is over than the other, it's okay to be divided. That's a justified division, right? Between rich and poor, wealth aspects, status. We have that everywhere.
Yeah.
And the elites do feel like they should be separated.
Well,
they are separated.
They are separated.
Yeah, but I'm saying they feel, but they feel that way. They're okay with the division, right? You say, is it okay for people to feel this way? Yeah. That's society feels this way.
I think.
When have we ever been unified?
Well,
you have groups.
You have groups that have been unified. And you have some
grand scale.
Since the garden was out of there, since they walked out.
On a grand scale and cross-cultural unified, it's rare. It's extremely rare. But I think,
is that?
I definitely think there are powers that keep messaging in society, and I'm talking about social media messaging, broadcast messaging, every kind of messaging you can think of. There is a thread inside of that messaging that's targeted at that purpose.
But don't you think people, but they like it though?
Oh, I think people gravitate towards whatever they constantly hear. I'm going to say a statement I said in the last episode. Faith comes by hearing. Well, if you keep hearing something, even if it's a bad thing, you're going to start to have faith in it. You're going to believe that thing.
Well, picture that, and if the bad thing is successful, it's going to double and multiply that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. If listen, like you said, with Steve Jobs, he treated everybody like trash.
But he was extremely successful.
So that means that justifies his behavior,
right?
And so people will say, "Well, he treated everybody like trash. Why can't I? Maybe if I treat everybody like trash, I can be successful as him."
That's a accurate sentiment that somebody could have, but it doesn't mean just because you treat somebody like crap, you're going to be successful.
It doesn't, but it gives delusion that that's what it is, right? If I get a certain level of money, and this is what you do when you get the money. You do this, then you act like this.
But how many people actually get that kind of money? Very few.
Very few.
It's a lot.
No, it's not.
It's not a lot of billionaires. When you start thinking about
even
people,
millionaires, they're gonna be entitled. Because a millionaire is not the everyday person.
Yeah, I won't disagree with that, but I also think that there are people on the other side of the coin. There are people who are successful and humble.
Can you name 3 of them? Give me 3.
I actually love that he said that. I mean, I'll just say one that comes.
No, you got to give me 3.
Well, I'm gonna
For people to believe it.
I'm gonna start
Belief
with.
come in 3s.
I'm gonna start with one that comes off the top of my head. Because
Shaquille O'Neal.
It wouldn't be Shaquille O'Neal.
What?
It wouldn't be Shaquille
Okay,
O'Neal.
give me one.
I would start with somebody more like a Denzel Washington. I believe that he's been extremely successful, and yet he still is very balanced in his approach to life. And I think there aren't necessarily a lot of people like that. I think he really he shows balance in how he deals with his family. I remember he was talking about one time he'll go and do a movie, but he'll still fly home every weekend, no matter where he was, to be with his family, to be with his wife. So when you start talking about what epitomizes that, I think he kind of does. I think even I'll say how Russell, who we talked about in the last episode, has functioned in his life as being a believer. I think he actually does. So I think there are people.
Give me one more.
Matthew McConaughey, that's another one.
Okay, so
I've seen him listen to his testimony, his values of life, the way he cares himself, how he turned down roles. He was one way, but then he accepted roles. So they're out there. We're not saying it's not out there, but the ratio.
No, I think I agree with you that the ratio is low.
The exception is not the rule.
I think they are the exception. I think the rule is something else. But I think those people do exist.
So you shouldn't invite Denzel on the show.
Well,
it's gonna be online.
Well,
help us out.
And even so, and I'm not saying I agree with everything I see about those people. I don't agree with everything, but I say at least they function in a way that shows that they have a moral compass, that humility operates in their life.
But what don't you agree about?
Well,
Denzel Washington.
I can't say that everything I've heard that I would say I would do in my own life. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It's just I wouldn't go that route. So there's some things that I just see with people. I may like them overall as a person, but there may be certain things that I say I might not do that.
Like what?
Well, there's always going to be some differences.
It's always differences.
Yeah.
I can't think of any right off the top of my head right now, but I would say
I know
that
one for
What's
certain.
that?
When he just did the
role.
Yeah, the role.
In,
it was
I can't think of the name of the movie.
It's a popular movie too. I feel shameful about that.
I can't think of the name of the movie.
Gladiator 2.
Gladiator 2.
Yeah.
I mean, there was something about that I'll say I just didn't agree with.
What about?
Yeah, he had the behind the scenes, or it was supposed to be an above scenes where he, let's not do that.
Well, but I just say people will probably figure out what we're talking about. And let me say this. I am in a place where I feel like I know who I am. And because I know who I am, there are things that I don't compromise. If you decide you want to compromise that, that's on you. You have the right to make that choice. I personally, if somebody presented me with that choice, I know what my answer is going to be.
We'll talk about that off the camera. but I will say this, just to say.
Oh, he had to hike the football.
No, listen. You're on the right track.
And I'll just say this. I think we all have places where we have a choice to choose where our boundaries are and our lines are. And our boundaries present us freedom for ourselves.
So he was reading the back of somebody's football jersey.
Well, listen.
I'm not going there.
It's not
that
extreme.
But close
But
enough.
this is what I'm saying.
Okay.
In other words, let's just say he's an actor.
Mm-hmm.
And actors sometimes have to do certain roles.
No, I know where you're going.
Okay, so once they so there's limits.
It's certain roles. It's certain roles you're
not
going to take.
Right.
And you know what? Some people will bad mouth you because you don't take those roles.
Yeah.
But you know what? At the end of the day, I think every individual has to have their own ability to choose. And I think when you have the ability to choose, you can base it on your choice should be based on your own moral
Yeah, but that
compass.
dynamic is changing.
Well, that dynamic
And
shouldn't change
individuality is
because
fading out.
because without that dynamic, you don't really have real freedom.
What the freedom
Well, yeah.
is to be like everybody else.
I think that's the new version.
Yeah, that's
of
the
it.
new thing.
But the freedom to be like everybody else is the freedom to be in an homogenized society.
Yes.
And the last thing we want to be is, oh, you've got to conform to this. Because all of the things that
But you don't think
cause-
we're there already?
I think to some degree we are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think to some degree we are in a dangerous place when it comes to that. But I also think that we have to really be in the place in society where there's the potential for growth, where the potential for change exists, where the potential for the betterment of society exists. There has to still be an openness to creativity and openness to you taking a path that maybe other people would choose not to based on the general consensus of society.
Yeah.
But I think if you care about the general consensus of society too much, you're going to follow whatever the trend is. And if the trend is wrong, you're going to go the wrong way. Wide is the what? Wide is the gate to,
Yeah, narrows the path.
yeah.
Yeah, but I'm more or less, this entitlement has many branches, and so when I look at it, it has its fingers and its grips on a lot of different areas in life, and now it's getting to the point, though, like you said, everybody wants it. It's becoming a drug now.
Well, I say one of the biggest scriptural reference I think about when we talk about entitlement is the prodigal son. The prodigal son felt like my father, he's not dead yet, but I feel like I'm entitled to my inheritance right now. So give it to me now before you die so I can go and do with that inheritance what I want to do with it.
Yeah.
And what did he do? He went out and squandered it and wasted it and was broke.
Yeah.
And had to come back home. He said, why am I out here?
Mm-hmm.
I'm out here, with the pigs and everything that I have no business with. And I could be home in my father's house where I could be living like a king's son, literally.
Mm.
Well, you did say it doesn't last long, right?
Yeah.
So the reality is, usually when we feel entitled and we feel like we're owed something that we haven't earned, we waste what we get.
That is a true fact.
And when we do that, guess what? Some people don't have a father that they can go back to.
Yeah.
From a natural sense.
Uh-huh.
And that's why a lot of times you'll see people leave some people who have a good relationship with God, leave their relationship with the Most High, get out there and make a mess, and then have to come back to that very same relationship and figure out from that point that they've come back where their new path is. To get to some degree of peace in their life, success in their life, and seeing their life the right
That's
way.
crazy. When people succeed, they thought God is no longer in the building.
Yeah, because
Why is that?
He's not the source.
That you only find them in cold, dark
No,
places.
because well, right. That is yeah, that's an oxymoron. But the truth of it is, if I'm doing well, my success is not from God, it's from me.
Yeah.
And if I'm not doing well, I can't depend on me, so I need a
then
source
it's
to
all
depend
God's
on.
fault.
Well, if things fall apart, now I want to point it and say it's God's fault that all these stuff
But
fell
if it
apart.
goes good,
I got it. It's
right,
me.
it's me.
I did it.
Yeah.
But the entitlement part of piece of it is so critical because not only do I feel like it's me, but what came to me in the first place. Like, let's say you had something to start with. Let's say you had an inheritance and somebody left you $500,000 to start a business. Say, I'm gonna leave you this, and I'm gonna also leave you $500,000. Then you start the business, and it is successful. Did you do it alone?
No.
Or did the person who gave you the $500,000 have a part in it?
They had a part in it. Absolutely.
So that degree of entitlement that you feel, if it's too strong of a feeling and you're not giving that person the credit for what they did and giving you the $500,000, that's problematic, right? Because there should be a humility and a thankfulness to that person who gave you a start.
Yeah.
That's just in the natural sense.
Yeah.
So when you think about it from a spiritual standpoint, the very breath in my lungs is from the Most High.
Yeah.
So if I'm walking around breathing and I woke up this morning and I'm in pretty good health, I got a place to start from that I should be thankful for.
Just for breathing.
But people say, "Oh, well,
they can buy a machine."
But in a lot of people's mind, that's a given. I should always have that.
Yeah.
That's something that I should be entitled to, and that entitlement can spread to more and more things. Okay, I'm a kid graduating from high school, and now my family, my father, my mother give me a Mercedes-Benz for my high school graduation.
Yeah.
That could turn into a deep sense of entitlement.
Most time it did.
Yeah, because it's not, at some point, it's not necessarily earned on the merits, right? If you had good grades throughout your valedictorian, something that balances out. But then to start you out with a Mercedes too, a prestigious car.
And the thing is, there's different kinds of Mercedes. There's a $50,000 Mercedes, and then there's a $125,000 Mercedes.
And they don't gotta pay insurance, don't pay gas, and
yeah.
So it's levels of reward that are appropriate, and then there's a level that you have to be careful with because it may trigger something that down the road turns into a unhealthy sense of entitlement. And that's what we want to always try to balance. We want to still be able to reward people properly for what they do, because we don't want people to feel like, oh, you're going to work this hard and you get nothing for it. There should be a reward.
But it's a paycheck.
Well, there's people that I would say that are underpaid for the work that they do. Yeah. So what do you do with that person?
You got to quit. Get another job.
So I just say it's always figuring out the balance, because entitlement, when it's excessive, can be destructive.
Well, most time it's going to be excessive, or you're going to lose control.
Because entitlement, doesn't it, over time, if somebody walks in that consistently, it erodes your respect for them because they haven't earned the place that they're in. And then they feel entitled to have power because of the place they're in, and they really haven't earned it. Do you respect a person who hasn't earned the position they're in?
Not if they walk in entitlement, no. You lose respect for them. The only time they gain respect is if they treat people or they...
And you never have a real relationship with them. It's only one-sided.
Because
if they're in a position of power, you have to do what they say, maybe because they're in a position of power, right? Mm-hmm. But there's never respect. There's never real leadership, because leadership really is somebody following because you're employing the kind of leadership that deserves to be followed. But if somebody's just in a position of power, they're like a manager. They have the right to manage you because they're in a position of authority, but that doesn't mean they have respect from you that makes you desire to follow them.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough.
That's a whole different thing.
Yeah, that's deep.
Yeah.
That's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, this has been a great discussion on entitlement. And I think entitlement shows up in a lot of forms, right?
Yes.
Pretty privilege.
Mm.
It shows up in people having positions of power that they don't deserve.
Mm.
It shows up in sometimes us giving people too much and they move into a place of entitlement because they've been given too much. But whatever it is, as far as having feelings of entitlement that are undeserved, I think it leads to something that often is bad as far as behavior.
You got to leave them out with one of your notes. Luke 12:15. Hit that for him.
Luke 12:15.
That's deep, yeah. No, that's it, brother.
Luke 12:15. I'll go read Luke 12:15. Watch out. Be on your guard against all kinds of greed. Life does not consist in an abundance of possessions.
That's it.
Yeah, well, Steve Jobs.
I think with that, we certainly can close. This has been a really thought-provoking conversation, and hopefully it's thought-provoking.
Oh, one more.
One more.
Do that at Mark 10:43. That's deep too.
Mark,
for the entitled people.
Mark 10:43 through 45. It says, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant. For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve.
That's a good one.
That's it.
Yeah.
Just cut the cameras off. Turn the lights out.
I say before we cut the cameras off, hope you enjoyed the episode. Please what?
Like, follow,
and
subscribe.
subscribe.
Yeah.